interests, and indifferences. If we then are to progress along the way of philosophic enlightenment, we must begin to respect those qualities, those beings, those principles in nature toward which we are striving, and which we must visualize, at least within ourselves, if we are to have the courage and industry to proceed to the attainment. This then becomes a continual, gentle remembrance of great and good things, and our willingness to choose between good, better, and best, always seeking to discover the best, and by so doing to challenge ourselves to be like the best. I think this more or less summarizes the opening thought of the verses. From this opening thought, we then move naturally to the beginnings of philosophy. And these beginnings have to do with the refinement of conduct. All growth begins with a kind of dedication. The individual cannot proceed unless he regards the end to justify the effort. Unless he has purpose, he will never move directly toward it. Unless he has an archetypal conviction, he will not live according to that conviction. Thus we come upon what might be termed the theological overtone of the verses. Namely, man gradually experiencing within himself, through learning, through observation, through association, gradually experiencing the fact that there is a better way of life than that which we commonly live. And that this better way of life has rewards and opens doors and brings consolation that the lesser way of life cannot experience. Thus the verses invite the individual to recognize that a superior way of life is man's protection against those conditions which arise from an inferior way of life. The growth is continuous, and that therefore man is constantly seeking a nobler and fuller expression for his own internal resources. Thus the beginning of man's life of discipline is not effective unless this discipline is perfect. The individual cannot discipline himself, nor will he find the incentive or the moral support of his own energy, unless this discipline is purposeful, unless it becomes the most important thing in all the world. The individual will not have the energy, the continuity, and the dedication to carry it on towards the attainment of self-improvement. Pythagoras obviously knew in his time, we find records historically bearing upon these matters, that the average person will be uncomfortable, miserable, gloriously blessed, does not in all these negative circumstances have sufficient energy or sufficient indeed to correct his own way of life. He is rather equipped against the spirit, phenomena of some kind that will save him in spite of himself. He seeks to surround himself with comfort to substitute for the absence of security. He is forever compromising because his incentives and his inducements are not great enough. Now the Pythagoreans were well aware that man's inducements will clarify with his growth. The individual in a state of ignorance cannot be certain of those great good things which are the ends of wisdom. Yet discipline comes to him from another source, whether he be certain or not. This source lies in the religious convictions of his people. In those days, of course, what we would term today the agnostic or the atheist were rare. There were not great numbers of persons who were unbelievers, who did not have some faith or substance of belief in themselves. Therefore, the beginning of this discipline was to a degree simple religious virtue. The individual standing in the presence of the Decalogue delivered by Moses or listening gently and quietly to a reading of the Beatitudes, was moved not by reason, but by faith, by the recognition that these words, these commandments, that these great institutes were wise, were benevolent, and were so considered as to make life best for him. So the beginning of the life of virtue is the acceptance of the divine way, as brought by revelation, by teachers, by venerated prophets, and by the great spiritual leaders of the race. Under these conditions, the individual may turn to piety simply because it is the good way. Not because he understands why, but because he knows in his daily conduct the persons who live this way are better friends, better relations, more honorable associates in all the walks of life. He learns in his daily living that we finally depend for our safety in this world upon the honor of others. And that this honor is important to us, and that our honor is important to them. Thus the honorable life must receive the life of discipline. It must be a way in which, for reasons commonly obvious, we do those things commonly approved as good, maintaining constantly with it the simple faith that the performance of these good things is not only acceptable to our fellow men, but is in harmony with the great religious and spiritual universe in which we exist. So in the beginning all things may not be clear, but that good is desirable, it is universally accepted. And that which is desirable shall be practiced on all occasions, and with all fortitude. And the individual shall, in the service of good, strengthen such resources as he may possess. So the Pythagorean golden virtues begin to emphasize the gradual establishment of value. They begin to point out how man attains to his natural human estate. And that this estate begins with the cultivation of adequate self-control in all things. That there can be no victory for the individual who is unable to direct his own life. That this direction of life becomes more clear as we proceed. But that at any stage the individual must still be the leader of the total of himself. So we have another ancient classical axiom, namely that man as a being, as a center of life and life, must lead his total personality and never be the victim of it. Thus the best part of man must govern man, even as the best part of men must govern the rest. And as God being the best part of the universe leads to all of it, so in every creature there is a God. There is a supreme being, all power, all principle, that which is superior to the rest, and this must always guide the rest. If the individual is not led by the best of himself, he falls not only into evil, but falls away from religion. For the best part in all things is that part most like God. And not to be led by that is to fall into error. Thus the God in faith must be the protector, the guardian, the teacher, the guide, the master of all the parts of his own nature. So man seeking for understanding, seeking for discipline, seeking ways to put his life in order, that he may be acceptable to the Most High, must first of all choose or select the best of himself, and make this leader of the rest.